and welcome to Hypothetically Intentional, where we ask the question, what if we set intentions with everything we do? I'm your host, Michelle Albers, and today I have Jess Leone with me. Welcome, Jess.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to talk with you because it's been way too long. As we said right before we hit record, how long has it been since we've talked to each other? Way too long. So before we drop in, I am going to set an intention. And my intention today is to have a beautiful, casual, connected conversation with someone I haven't connected with in a hot second, in the hopes that wherever we go, that somewhere out there, there are people that it can support, help, or inspire.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. So welcome. I just want to go, welcome. How have you been? And I'm like, well, we're not on a phone call. We're on a podcast. So maybe we'll skip a little.
Skip some of that. And we were just discussing, like, where did we even connect? Like, how did this happen? We're totally unsure. And can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Do you know F-bombs on your podcast?
Oh, God, yes. I say all the fucking words.
Oh, thank God. All right. Because I'm like, oh, man, I got a little bit of a mouth. So sometimes they just come with me. They're just part of who I am.
Yep, me too.
But
if we can't show up authentic and integrated on this podcast, then I'm doing something wrong. So
that's fair. But regardless of how we met, I believe we were supposed to, and we come in waves. And like you had mentioned last time, we talked about the struggle of just being an entrepreneur, what that looks like in our everyday lives. And it's getting a little bit easier. I think as time goes on, you kind of fine tune what you want to do and what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to show up in the world that feels aligned with you and your belief, I shouldn't say your beliefs because your beliefs can change, but with your values of who you are as a person.
Yeah. Gosh, when you say it that way, it almost feels like I think about like the journey of personal growth and transformation. And ultimately that is you becoming you, like who you really are. Right. And I feel like when you said it like that, I'm like, I feel like the birth of a business and an entrepreneurship is very much the same. It's like you kind of get your feet under you. And like for me, I think I've had 3 different lifetimes in my business. Well, also in my personal life, at least. But
can relate.
Yeah. But I kind of, well, I do. I like that. I mean, and I think for people like us, our personal, like who we are as a human has to be incorporated to how we show up in our businesses. But also our business is a very, to me, it feels like a very hyper-focused piece of us that is important in how we deliver that into the world.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And when I got to really thinking about intentionally living, I've talked a lot about this for so long. And I have found, especially the more that I work with women, the more I realize how we've kind of just been conditioned to think we're supposed to show up a certain way. And a lot of us live on autopilot and kind of living by this script that we didn't write. And I've been really like, that's been my focus, like really recently, like trying to understand why we do the things that we do and the way that we do them. And a lot of the time, we're not even questioning why we're doing it. We're just doing it. And that's the part that's fucking scary, right? Because, I mean, man or woman, or however you identify, that doesn't really even matter. It's how did you grow up and what did you witness? And what do you now believe because of that? Because I think we have a tendency where the lines can get crossed, where we can witness a behavior in our upbringing by somebody who raised us and then think like, oh man, am I just like them now? And some of us who have had challenging upbringings are like, I don't want to be like this person because I don't want to be like that. And a big tipping point for me was it's actually not genetic. You actually learn this behavior. And something about that, being able to separate from that and go, oh, I am my own person and I can make different decisions. And I'm not tied to, which in some ways, I don't know how much we're tied to, are the genetic pieces. That's a little bit more of a woo-woo, way off conversation. But I don't know, it's so freeing to be able to go, oh, I get to actually make my own choices. I don't have to do something just because that's how, one, I witnessed there, two, that's how I was told to live.
So. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
So you said in the work that you do, you talk a lot about living intentionally
Mm-hmm.
with women specifically. Do you find a lot of similar answers within that or similar struggles within that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I think about the top reason of like why we do anything, it's because we don't believe someone else. We don't trust or we don't have experiences where we've been able to ask for help and it's shown up in a way that we felt received by. So the common thing is, well, I'll just do it. I'll just get it done because if I do it, then I know it'll get done. And what that leads to what is like burnout, which we throw around burnout as a term pretty loosely. And burnout can take years to undo, years, depending on how long you're living in it. So there's that piece of not being able to safely or genuinely rely on other people to help us. So that is a huge challenge. Also feeling like, well, if I don't do it, I don't know if it'll get done. I don't know if the boundary. The other piece to this is like I could fucking write a book. I probably will about boundaries and feeling like just to keep everybody comfortable and to keep the peace, we'll just do it. And we as women would rather harm ourselves than other people. And that is why we suffer with autoimmune diseases way more than men do. We have been conditioned to be quiet, keep the peace, to kind of just go along. And that is it's so fucking harmful in so many ways. And so this is the stuff that I've been in like trying to understand, like down to it's so silly, but like I will watch like old time movies. I like to see how women are perceived and treated in those, and just in like the 60s and the 50s. And then think about how I'm going on a tangent here. So if you want to stop me, you could totally.
No, it's great. I love it. I love it.
You know, I went down the TikTok rabbit hole of, you know, patriarchal views of like, you know, men used to court men for women and there was a dowry involved and we were raised, you know, and this is, we're talking about like in Europe. So, you know, but if you think about how those women were basically raised to just be someone's wife. And then those women over time had kids who immigrated, who stayed, whatever, like America is made of immigrants. So how much of this is actually ingrained in the women that raised us, that raised like our grandmothers, our great grandmothers? And, you know, I read somewhere we've been operating only in the last 50 years with 80% of our rights. And think of how much we've been able to do in 50 years. I mean, the fact that we can fucking vote, we can go to work, that we can have a bank account, right? So this is not like a feminist rant. I don't actually identify with that term at all. I am somebody who really just wants to understand because I think a lot of feminism, unfortunately, has a really bad view of the patriarch or whatever you want to call it, of men in general, and men have their own struggles of this is how they were raised. So it's both ends of the same coin that we're both struggling with, right? So I don't point fingers at them and say it's their fault. I do say though, how can we do better as women? How can you do better as a man, right? Yeah. So there's so much there. So we just we're just kind of again operating on default, operating on autopilot of like what we think we're supposed to do. And if we can be super intentional with set like one thing a day, like it could literally be anything, you know. I'm actually not gonna tell my boss today that I'll stay late, and setting a boundary of like this is what I'm willing to do and what I'm willing to show up for, whatever. Like, but while that may seem like a big thing, it can be, but like these small little micro decisions really add up, or where the actual healing and the actual change happens is in the micro decisions, not in these like big grandiose ones. No.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about Hypothetically Intentional, the title of the podcast came to be with a conversation with my son. And what I love about intention is it requires a pause and an inquiry, because there has to be a mindfulness. If you're setting an intention, even if that inquiry is in a split second, right? But you still like, how do I want to show up? What is my intention? Like you have to start there. And so it does require some sort of pause, which requires some sort of mindfulness. I mean, at least in my definition of how that works, you're to set an intention, there has to be a pause for you to inquire within yourself, what might that intention be? And I didn't used to show up that way. I used to show up out of fear of being unloved and unseen and misunderstood and all those things. I just tuck into boxes and do my thing and hope and pray that somebody would like me, that everyone would like me, if I'm being real honest.
Well, right.
You know.
So I so get that. And I still struggle with that. And,
Yeah.
When you were talking about, oh, I lost my train of thought, what you were saying. Give me a second to get it back. This is what happens because I go on my fucking tangents. Oh, the pause. The pause. I talk about the pause all of the time. If you
me too.
if you can catch yourself, you can do differently. And for me, it was really getting the nervous system regulated, which I have not had in over 30 years. So, when you're setting an intention, you're anchoring into something. And if you're anchoring into fear or you're anchoring into anxiety, right? Like pick an emotion. It's not going to work in the way that you think it's going to work. If you're coming at it with with everything running in the background, the computer program is like lighting up for fear and anxiety. And then now you're trying to set an intention from that space. It's really hard to actually live that intention, right? So it's how can we be more intentional about just starting our day in a positive way? Whether I have people that are like, I don't go to bed till like 2 a.m. and that's where I function really, I'm a night owl, whatever. Okay, whatever. You wake up at fucking 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then set your intention there. It doesn't matter when. But just having a moment with yourself to just go, hey, I'm here, I'm listening. And so many of us are so afraid to know what's going on in here. And I've heard that a lot from women. Like, I'm afraid that if I let myself actually be quiet, there's a whole lot in there I don't want to hear, and everything's going to start to unravel and fall apart. And I was like, would that be the worst thing? Because
yeah.
How is it looking right now? Because clearly it's not good. So if you just let it go, and you can come back to a place of some kind of stasis or alignment or whatever that is, it'll be scary, and it'll be a lot of work. But when you put yourself in the right space, the mindset, yes, is one thing. It's your internal self, but what's your external community look like? Like, what does your everyday people look like? Do people hold space for you? So there's so many, as you can see, I could talk about this forever. There are so many layers to this shit. And I think we get overwhelmed by all of the things. It's like, you just have to start. You just need to pause, make a decision, make an intention, and then do your fucking best to live from that space. And if you're struggling, have people in your life to help keep you accountable. It doesn't have to be this big thing that's really, really scary, because I know it can be. And I'm in it now. It's a lot, but I have a really good support system. So it helps,
Yeah. I don't remember if you said this on the mic, but that whole thing that you just said, all I keep hearing is we don't remember exactly how we met, but we know we were supposed to, because you used many of my keywords. I talk about the pause all the fucking time. I talk about how layered doing this work is all the fucking time. I talk about just showing up for yourself in a new and different way. And yeah, it's going to be fearful. Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to be a lot of different things. And how's what's happening now working for you? It's, you're here saying it's not working.
Right.
So you wouldn't say that out loud if you didn't want something new and different. So what does that look like? How can we hold space for each other? You basically, you didn't use the word community, but you basically just spoke. Well, you did. You spoke of community. I talk about community all the time. We're not meant to do this deep work alone.
Oh my
And
God.
so you're speaking my language, sister.
We've always been speaking each other's language.
I know.
It's so I'm gonna have to go back and listen to. I love podcasts, so I'm gonna have to. I have so many going. I'm a long form content girly. I don't live for these fucking TikTok trends and shit. It's not the vibe. But yeah, I've learned so much in the pause.
Yeah.
Learned so much about myself. I wasn't able to get there until I really started doing the work.
Yeah. Oh, me too. And it's like, how can you possibly learn about yourself if you never pause to listen? Like I can listen to everybody else to like I used to, right? Like I could listen to everybody else, but I could never listen to me because I didn't want to hear what I had to say. I was like, yeah, I know that doesn't feel right, until I started doing the work. And then it was like, I mean, my life changed the moment I stepped into the room where my teacher, I call her my teacher, where she exists. And she changed my life. And not because she did it, but because she knew how to hold space that was in my language, in my energy, in my vibration. And she just knocked that out of the park so that I could look.
So beautiful. If you can have that and find that, your teacher is what I hope I am doing for the women in my spaces.
Oh,
Because
yeah, me too.
I have had this community for like a little over 4 years called Sacred Circle, and it's local to Connecticut. And we're all in it together. I kind of just started as the facilitator and just held space and kind of learned about how to be a facilitator and what it meant to be that. And, you know, I think we take it, we not take advantage. That's not what I mean. We overlook how much it is of a gift that you can hold space for multiple people at the same time.
Mm.
And it wasn't until really recently, like I say recently, like 2 years ago recently, but halfway through me in this process, where one of the girls looked at me and goes, "What about you? How do you feel?" And I was like, "Oh," because I think when you're a facilitator, at least this is when I first started this is how I thought. It's like, well, people are coming here and they have a certain expectation of me to do the thing, and I just need to hold the space, and I don't need to share my stuff. And because you want to be respected or looked at in a certain way. And then I was like, hold on. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I don't put fucking anybody on a pedestal. So why do I think they don't come for me? They come for everybody. They come for the experience. They come for like what they're learning and what they're holding, like what they're sharing. We all hold space for each other. And that really shifted the energy of the group when I actually started to be a part of it. And that is my biggest thing that I struggle with everything is including myself in it. I create things because I need it to heal, and I invite other people into it, and then I take myself out of the equation. I'm like, oh, I'm not needed here anymore. And that's not fucking true. And I really struggled with that for my entrepreneurial journey in the last, not going on 5 years. And it's only recently where I'm like, no, I actually get to be a part of this too. And it's been such a learning curve, but it's been really beautiful. And I think that's the point. We used to have fucking women used to come together to fucking bleed together, red tent ceremonies. Like we've been doing this for a long time, and we need, I keep losing everything in my throat. We need each other. And I think we have been also conditioned in some ways to think that women are competition, and there's room for everybody. Like there's not one woman I view as competition. And I've been in spaces or I've interactions and relationships where that's been the case, and they've just taken care of themselves, and it's kind of zung itself out because I'm like, I don't have space for that. We can all eat. I want us all to win. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of conditioning to undo. That's for
Yeah. And it's like, is it unlearning or is it just remembering, right? Like, are we unlearning the conditioning and the programming that has happened over the course of our life? Or are we simply remembering who we are? Maybe both. I don't know.
I would say it's both, because I think we need, up until this point, I've needed everything to happen that happened to me
Oh, yeah.
happen. So I could be the person that I am today. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of unlearning to learn who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It goes hand in hand for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
too.
This is a weird thing to circle back to, but you said it and it just popped in again. So maybe I'm supposed to circle back.
Sure.
But you mentioned that you're long-term content girl. And then you mentioned you're not really into the TikTok shorts phase. And I'm like, for me, I'm with you. The really short stuff, I swear it gives me anxiety. It's just like, it's so small and snippet. I'm like, oh my, and I have a fast brain. My brain moves really quick. Like I'm not a short, quick, I'm not as, I have a fast brain. And that shit, it makes my anxiety go just amplify. And I don't understand what it is about it, but like long form content I just drop in, I get grounded, I get settled, I get calm, I get engaged. And that short content shit, I'm like, wait, what? Oh, whoa. It's like I just want to punch somebody, and that's not me.
So I think you actually just identified it. You can ground into some, because if somebody's hanging out with you for a long time, it feels safe. It means
Yeah.
like, oh, we're hanging out, we're having a conversation. I'm going to settle in here. I'm going to listen to what you have to say. So the quickness and the fastness is just feeds into the matrix that we already live in right now, which is everything is fucking quick, 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 go, 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 go. We have the fucking mind of a goldfish. And
Yeah.
I don't believe in, I make the short form content here and there, but
Yeah, I do too.
it's not really what I resonate with. And I want someone to feel like they're pulling up a seat with me to have a conversation, because that's what I'm inviting. I'm inviting that kind of like space to be held for whatever it is that you need. And yeah, so I think that's why you get anxious. I think you actually just solved it all on your own.
I know. It's funny, but it's weird though, because I'm like a quick person. I'm a doer. I'm a quick thinker. I like to be in motion. I like all that stuff, but I'm also really comfortable being grounded and to be integrated and to be like engaged. And I think maybe that's it, because when it's humans, for me, I really want to get to know you. I really want to connect. I really want to engage and explore. And I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just that like I crave that connection. And I think, to our original point,
Yes.
where we were talking about being an entrepreneur can be hard and lonely at times. I don't know if we said that actually on the podcast or if that was before we started, but like that was kind of where the last time we talked, we were both in this place of, gosh, it's feeling harder than it has to be and a little lonely right now. And I think, because that isn't an uncommon state in the entrepreneurial journey on the ebb and flow of it, I think sometimes that's it. It's just like I crave the time to have deep connection, and that might just be all it is. Anyway, I don't know why I circled back to that, but it was just like you said TikTok, and I was like, I'm not even on TikTok.
Oh, I am. I just got back on TikTok actually. And just to like piggyback off what you were saying, like I listen to all my voice notes. Everything is on 2 times speed. All of my podcasts, they're on like 2 times speed. That's just how my brain operates. So I get it. But I think when it comes to, similar to you, when it comes to like spending time in someone's energy, I don't want you to fucking fly in and fly out. That's regulating. It's just regulating to your system because it doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
And I found, because I have a like manager, if you want to call her, like a digital marketing manager that I hired. And she's helping me a lot in the online spaces and like helping me. She's really like my brand manager, actually, I should say. And she's really helping me hone in on where my people are. So I got the fuck off Instagram, because I think she said 80% of Instagram is between 18 and 24 male. And I'm talking to women. She's like, so what are you doing on there? I'm like, getting off, cool. Like, and she's like, everybody you need is on TikTok. And I'm like, I don't want to go on TikTok, but fine. But the first 2 weeks of me being back on TikTok, I went viral twice.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, people are engaging and sharing. Like, there's actually like genuine. It's not just like, oh, I went viral. There's a lot of people really resonating with what I have to say over there. And I'm like, okay, I see your point. Well, I pay you, fine. Like, all right. And the algorithm just changes so much, and it's hard to keep up with. And, it just changed again. Now it's like more SEO optimized, where people are really using it as a search engine, and people are getting away from Google. So you have to change how you your content or you write your cap. I'm like, I don't care about any of this. I had like a full blown, like, what do the kids call it? Crashing out. Totally crashing out moment of like, I don't care to do any of this. I don't care. I just want to find women and love them and nurture them and teach them and learn from them. Like, I don't care about this stupid shit. Like, I went off. And she's like, I get it, but you have to just show up somewhere consistently. You can't pivot too fast off of things. And I'm like, but I hate it. So it's just like, I get it. I get it. It's like, if it doesn't feel good, I don't want to fucking do it anymore. And that's my alignment with myself. If it feels shitty, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I don't care. Like, I'm not. I'm still a human being. And the way to connect with people is in person, like this, like having long conversation. Like, this is how I love to talk to people. I don't give a fuck up. This is not natural. This is not normal.
The phone.
Yeah. So in case you can't see the video, I'm talking about my phone. Again, more tangents. Are you sure you wanted me on this podcast? Because
100%. I think the reason I circle back to the TikTok thing and the short content thing is because I feel like there's just like an underlying message here that if you're feeling off and if you're feeling extra stressed or if you're feeling anxious or if you're feeling just some kind of way that doesn't feel good to you, maybe just put your head up and look around and ask yourself what might be feeding into that and notice. I think, because I think this is the intentional piece. It's like, I noticed that when actually I think I was like sitting with my partner and he was scrolling when we were watching long form YouTube content. I was great. I was engaged. I was excited about what we were seeing. And when we were watching shorts, I was like, I am just getting pissed and anxious and frustrated. And it's not because I didn't like the content. It was the same type of content, but it being short like that was just agitating the fuck out of me. And I was like, oh, what is going on? And then had I not had that pause to realize it. And so I just think to be intentional, like if you're feeling off, pick your head up, look around and just explore what that might be. I never would have pinpointed that it was shorts. It just happened to flow in a way where I got a ping, like my spirit guides were like, hey, PS, that's it. Stop it. And I was like, oh, thanks.
I would argue that your algorithm on your social media is a direct reflection to your algorithm in the real world.
Yeah.
If all you do is read or consume negative shit on your algorithm, on your social media platforms, I have a pretty fucking good idea of how you're feeling internally. Yeah. And I see you posting about, like, I won't even go on fucking Facebook anymore except for my Facebook group. Like in my local area, the amount of animal abuse, shootings, like all this stuff, I'm like, I'm not consuming this.
Yeah.
And what I actually like about TikTok is that you can change your algorithm in like a few hours. If you just sit and scroll and you scroll real quick off stuff you don't want to see and you stay on the stuff that you do, you will start to see more of what you want. And I would, like I said, I would argue that transfers to real, I'm going to say quotations, real life, right? And what you decide to see in others, how you decide to perceive the world and the things that happen for you, not to you, right? You start to, your whole perspective will shift. And we spend so much time on our phones that we need to be very, very careful with what we are consuming, because it will take over your entire life. If you just look for gloom and doom, your life is probably gloom and doom.
Yeah. And, to add on to that, I also think even if you're watching great content, if you're always watching and never engaged and participating in life, that's a whole nother kind of thing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Life is happening out and around you. Like the pause, look up.
Yeah.
It's the breeze. I mean, I have my window open in the studio. It's not really that nice out, but I'm like, I'm going to go sit outside later. And I'm not going to bring, like, I've been super intentional about not even bringing my phone outside with me. I'm like, I don't even want this it interfering. I'm like, I just want to be out there with Earth's fucking algorithm and Earth's energy.
Yeah. I literally did that 3 minutes before we had this conversation. I was just like, I just want to go walk outside for like 3 minutes. I didn't have a lot of time, but I was like, I just need to go put my feet in the grass for a hot second. And I came back and I'm like, oh, so great. And when we get done, guess what I'm doing? Same thing.
Hey, boo, you do the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's so important. I think we have to be very careful, especially in this age of AI. Like, I love AI. I'm not gonna say yours. I love ChatGPT. I talk to that goddamn thing every day. I have for 2 years. It's helped me with my business. It's helped me grow. And to keep with the times, especially if you're in business, you can't just do things the way that things were done 20 years ago because you're not gonna reach people. And a lot of how you connect with people now is so fucking stupid, but like 80% of it is like you have to run ads, 20% is organic. So again, not to turn this into like some social media lecture, but I'm just finding that like you have to stay with the times, and you also need to be careful with how much you are also doing with it, right? Because AI, anything is a tool. Meditation is a tool. Breathwork is a tool. Everything is. And so everything with certain stuff is in moderation. I don't think anybody could meditate for 3 hours and be like, that was the worst thing ever. I wish I didn't do it, right? But I think everything in moderation is important. And choosing in the pause, choosing what it is that you want to do with your time, right? Everyone's like, I'm stressed out, work and this and bills. Like, you didn't come here just to pay bills and die. Like, you actually came here to fucking live. So live, right? So I don't know. Again,
Yeah.
my freaking tangents. I'm sorry.
I'm a tangent girl too. I love it. When you said something about like we got to keep up with the times and you can't do it the same way you were doing it 20 years ago, and I think that also speaks to we're very heavy on the intention today. I'm not always like that, but it just feels like because I think what worked for you 20 years ago, some of that might still work today. But if it becomes mindless and there is no intention around it, you don't pause to look to ask if it might still be working for you or not. I think that's such a key piece to, it's not to say that everything has to go away. I mean, everything is ever evolving and ever changing. Yes, I understand how that works. And also some things are innate within us and they do work for long periods of time. And they evolve. It won't look the exact same way tomorrow as it did today. It didn't look the same way yesterday as it does today. And so I just think that if you don't pause and reflect and ask or just be in the moment and explore what might be working for you and supporting you and what might not be, it just feels like for me when I'm like that, when I'm mindless and just in go mode and not really mindful about things, I'm doing myself a disservice and I'm missing a lot. And mostly what I'm missing is joy and calm and peace and excitement. And like, I know those are all oxymorons on some level, but it's just like I miss so much when I get into that. I'm just in motion, but I'm not really mindful or intentional about any of it. And I think I didn't used to, like, to your point earlier, way earlier, when you were talking about how people don't want to look within because they're afraid of what they'll find. It's like, yeah, I was there and then I found the mess and then I cleaned it up and it's still messy. And to just be able to look and ask what I might need and trust myself to give myself an honest, accurate, clear answer that could support my soul. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm in.
Why wouldn't you want to? But again,
Right.
everybody's journey. And to your point, the only constant is change.
Yeah.
Always going to. But I think what AI and technology will never, ever replace is human connection. Like that part will never, that's still good in my book, right? Like when they say cash is king, like that may go away, but there's certain things that will always be better than the way we're doing things now. And because at our core, we actually do need each other. Like there's a lot of people out there that are like, I don't need nobody. I don't need this. I don't, if somebody, like it's like somebody fucks up once and then they cut people out. It's like, go to fucking therapy because that's not reality. People are people are people. People fuck up. People make mistakes. And fucking newsflash, we're all red flags. We all have shit about ourselves that are not the best or what people would label as a red flag. So if you are someone who's just going to cut someone off that quick, you better be fucking perfect. You better not have a single fucking flaw. And guess what? That doesn't exist. So, and if we can just understand, and, when you were talking about going inward and finding the mess and cleaning it up, you're always going to be doing that to some degree. And it's also important to know that it's okay to put it down and just integrate. And in fact, I would argue you have to do that. You can't
Oh, yeah.
Up all at the same time. It's just not, you know what I mean? It's never going to be that. And I don't think that's the point. I think, when we're not here and we're not occupying a body, we're somewhere out in just bliss. Or we're, I don't know exactly where. And I've thought about this a lot, but I have to assume that we don't feel anything. And it's just pure joy and pure bliss. And we come here to evolve our souls in some way. So it's never going to be hunky dory, happy, joy all the time. It's not natural to be happy all of the time. You can't be. And you have to learn how to appreciate the bad. So then you can also appreciate the good. And we label good and bad too. Like you have to be so careful with that because to me, a bad day is when I'm fucking 6 feet under. That's the worst day of my life. I've had the worst days of my life when people died and like there's bad days. But until I'm joining them, I'm just trying to look at every day. Like, what is this trying to teach me? How can I learn? How can I evolve? What is this? Why has this presented itself in this way? What do I need to look at? What do I need to understand? And I'm not saying I don't fucking fly off the handle, have bad days, get angry, scream at my husband, and everything in between, because you're gonna do it. And if you can look at everything as an opportunity to grow, especially if you're an entrepreneur, because you're gonna get in like lulls, and it happens a lot. Where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody's coming to my things. No one's buying anything, whatever. And if you can just recognize that that's going to just be a natural ebb and flow of owning a business, you move through it so much faster when you're just like, okay, I know this is going to happen. I'm just going to ride this wave and see what I need to learn when things are slow. So that's my other hobby.
Yeah. I think it's I think it's all layered. I mean, even cleaning up the mess is layered. There's many moving parts to that. Joy is layered. There's many moving parts to that, right? It doesn't matter what you're talking about. There's layers to it. There's things to consider. There's ways you can navigate it in new and different ways. I don't know. It's just like the whole picture when you think about it is so simple and so overwhelming all at the same time. And I find that actually magical. I've been talking a lot about alchemy and duality lately.
Oh,
And I just find them so, what does that say?
so I wanted to show you the yin and yang.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly it. Love holds space for duality. Life holds space for duality. So I just wanted to, before I forgot, I was like, I gotta show her this. Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Talk a lot about that. I love that.
Yeah. And it exists and it always will exist. It's not going away.
Nope.
Yeah.
And, I would argue that intentionality like literally saved my life.
100%.
Like,
I mean, 100% for me too. I just think to be intentional, I never gave that to myself before. I didn't think I mattered. You know?
Yes, I do know.
I mean, I didn't realize that until I did. But then once I saw it, I was like, huh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It brought me home to myself. Whereas before, I felt like there were just all of these piles of things that I had to clean up, to your point. And I didn't think anybody cared about me enough to like hang around and try to clean this up. And I didn't want to clean it up. It felt too daunting. It felt too overwhelming. And there's a lot of life I almost missed out on. And when you really, it's the pause, when you can really just take a moment and think about it, anything, whatever that is. And it was the pause that allowed me to see, like, no, like, there's so much love surrounding me. Like, so the pause saved my life, love saved my life. And I've done nothing but like really, really work hard on my mental health in the last 7 years. And it's been so hard. I'm still in it. I'm in somatic therapy, which is so fucking visceral that it just knocks me out the rest of the day because it's so hard. But it's allowed me to see myself in a new way, in a way I didn't understand before. And I've really learned that the self, the mind, like your brain and your body are three different things.
Oh, yeah.
And we can't like personify our trauma. because the body experienced trauma. You didn't. But the body is the one that sends the signals to the self, right? It gets the brain on, it gets the nervous system involved and goes, something's wrong. Or hey, this is being activated in me and I feel it here and and all the things. And if you can separate yourself from really such a Buddhist way of thinking, but it's so true. If you can just observe the thing and not internalize it, not personify it, and really just look at it, um, you will start to see things so much clearer, and you can file things away in your brain. You can file things away safely, and you won't be so triggered all the time. But this takes time. This takes like a lot of intentionality, a lot of work, and we keep talking about the work, and we keep coupling it with it's hard or it's a lot or it takes it right. And I don't want to say this as a way to like persuade people not to do it, but I think I'm all about like just being honest about what it's looked like for me. And I don't know anybody who did the work and had like the easiest fucking time and they were like, oh, I'm good. And it's, whatever. Then it happens really quick, right? It really is. It's why it's hard because there's a lot involved, but it's so fucking worth it. Like I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade anything that happened to me. I would not be able to show up and serve and live out my purpose in the way that I do now if I didn't have it happen. And in some ways, that's like, it keeps me going. And I think about my future kids that will never be like, they'll never go unscathed, right? I mean, it's nearly impossible. You're a human, you've had shit that has happened to you, but if your parents gave you this much shit, you'll give them this much if you're just aware that you don't want this much shit to happen to them, right? So you can really just cut that in half. So I think about that a lot. I'm like, I'm doing it for my future children, my future generations of family that will come and not have like it ends with me. It ends with me and my husband. My husband, I got to give him credit. He's done a lot of work on himself in the last few years, especially since being together, and has recognized how so much of it is familial, how you can grow up a certain way and think this is the way to do it. And he's recognizing like, oh, no, I don't actually have to do it that way. So it's beautiful to be on a journey with somebody who's like on it with you. And that's why community is so fucking important. You need it. You don't necessarily need a partner, right? But you to have someone in your life to like go through this with you, never let you feel like you have to do it alone. It makes a world of difference. And I think just being open to allowing someone in and do that is really important. But to each their own, whatever, somebody decides to do is what someone will do.
Yeah. I love that you clarified that about the work because you're right. Sometimes when we have these conversations, when we actively do this for a living, the words we say might sound scary or feel some kind of way to people who maybe are just considering starting their journey, whatever that looks like. And I don't think one is good, bad, or indifferent. I just think it just is. It's divinely guided, I believe. And I think, to clarify the messy word for me too, like messy isn't a bad word to me. The mess is actually beautiful. The mess is part of it. It's part of me. It's part of who I am and all those things. And so I just think, yeah, maybe some clarification of words like work and messy and healing. And I don't believe we're ever done doing the work. I believe it's always there for us. There's always something we can do to improve or to heal or to be more aligned and integrated and authentic and intentional and all those things. And also I believe there's pauses within that work. So if that sounds super overwhelming to you, it doesn't mean that you're constantly going and constantly working and constantly in the mess and in the shit. It just means that there's an ebb and a flow to all of this, all of it. And that's life. I mean, really.
I mean, plainly put, that is life. Like nobody gets out unscathed, and it gets to be whatever you decide you want it to be. And
Yeah.
you don't like a word, fucking change it. I'm big on language. Like I call
Yeah.
people out constantly.
Me too.
But when they say something like, oh, I noticed like there's some people in my life that say, well, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that, I fear this, I fear. I said, do you realize like by constantly repeating out loud how fearful you are of everything, what kind of environment you're creating for your body to live in. It's going to just live and bathe in fear. So change the word, change the way you're saying something, because that really makes a difference. Everybody thinks that like our body doesn't like is not involved in the conversation at all. And we can have things happen to us where like the random back pain or oh my shoulder, I didn't sleep wrong. I don't know what it's like because your body's holding on to stuff, babe. But like I don't know why you think that it's just there and it's just a meat suit and it's just like holding everything in. It does. And it also experiences as separate as everything is, like as three separate things as the self, the brain, and the body are, they still occupy in the same place. So they're all talking to each other, right? And we just forget that we have choice. You have choice, always have choice. And we don't live like we do. We stay in jobs we don't like, we stay in relationships we think we're supposed to, and we don't have to, but because we don't know what's on the other side, right? And to your point earlier where you said, we're talking about joy, we're not programmed for joy. Our brain is not programmed for that. We're programmed for survival. So we have to work extra hard at joy. And Brene Brown talks about this at length. I love her. She's one of my favorite people to listen to who talks about this, but it's true. So that's why it's like it's so easy to say, well, I'm so afraid of this. It's like, okay, how can we change that language, the pause, and go, I don't want to talk about fear. I want to honor that I am fearful of something, but like, can we change the word? Can we change how we say it? And just doing that really you can start to rewire your nervous system that way. So, we don't have to just do it the good old way because it's easier. I remember I saw this documentary and they were talking about psilocybin. So they were talking about mushrooms and how it's been used in healing and how they describe psilocybin specifically. But I just talk about this as the pause is when you're a kid and you go sledding and you go down the hill and you create that path. When you run back up, where are you going? Down the same path that's already made. And then you come up, right? Down. So in the documentary, they talked about how psilocybin is the fresh snow. Well, the pause is the fresh snow in this instance. The pause is, I'm going to decide to take another way down that hill and create a new path. So you always have the ability to do it. And I used to think that there was just a switch going on and off in me constantly. I couldn't control my actions or what I would say or how I would do it. Blah, blah. And that was because I was just so dysregulated. And once I really got in touch with what was going on in here, I got to say, oh, there's a pause. Okay. All right. How do I want to do different? How do I want to be different? And that has changed everything for me. And that's taken time, but it's so worth it. And all of this to say, it really is all worth it.
It's beautiful. So when we started the podcast, before we hit record, you mentioned that you had kind of written down some notes, not kind of, I don't know why I said that, written down some notes about being intentional and how that's impacted you. Did we cover the things you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, no, I covered, I've had them next to me, just kind of glancing over here and there because as we've already discovered in the hour together, I am a tangent girly and I have ADHD. So I really try to keep myself, again, this is my intentionality. I set the intention before I jumped on this podcast to write notes so that I wouldn't get cray cray in my brain. So yeah, a lot of what I wanted to talk about, I did. And I'm just really excited that I got to kind of talk more about the stuff I've been really jamming out about more recently and like kind of bringing into my own podcasts and with my own guests and really talking about what this looks like in their life. Because there are so many of us, like I said, like when we started this conversation, who live on autopilot. And sometimes if you hear some at the right time, like, oh my God, I didn't realize all of this, right? I think there's like, we have a lot of golden nuggets in this podcast. And I think that you could listen to it 5 times and hear 5 different things.
Right. Depending on where you were on any given day.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter. Right. Exactly. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to kind of just explore this more with your community and in your spaces to talk about some of this, because people are waking up. We are, like, especially, and I know we talked a lot about women because that's where my focus is, but like as women, we really are waking up. And I've met a lot of women at their fuck it moments. And it's been really cool to be a part of their fuck it moment and to really try and be and do something differently. And what I really believe I was meant to do on this earth was, one, connect people. I'm a community builder and connector, like, through and through. And I really do believe I was meant to connect women back to themselves, whether that's their physical bodies. I do like self-defense seminars and we learn about boundaries and stuff there, but even just in their body and making choices and making decisions that feel good for them, that may look completely different than what they're used to. So if I can do those two things, and I can do them on podcasts, and I can have conversations with really cool fucking people that I can't wait to hug in real life one day. If I get to do that and we get to share this, share the space and do that, like that's where it's at for me. So it's such an honor to be here and talk to you about all this. And thank you again so much. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you for showing up. This is delightful, beautiful conversation. As always, I adore spending time with you. How do people find you? I want to make sure we don't miss that piece.
Sure. Everything's easy. JessLeone.com.
Beautiful.
It's very simple. If you want to find me on socials, all the same, it's Jess Leone. Simple. We're keeping it real simple these days because I want people to actually find me and not have like a million different. That's what I used to do. I used to have a million different names and this and that. And my brand manager, she's like, it's one thing now. Just fucking change it all over to the same thing. And I'm like, I got it. I'm on board. Yeah. So JessLeone.com for everything you need. And Hot Takes on Healing. Hot Takes on Healing with Jess Leone. That's my podcast if you want to check it out. I drop weekly episodes, and just out here doing the thing like you, Michelle. Just like,
so good.
So good. It's so fucking fun. Like, it gets to be fun. It really does. And I love this. I do. So
me too.
Very, very cool.
Thank you for sharing all the gems and the time and the space and your energy. And I look forward to next time, girl. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for today. Bye. Be you every day.